All right, guys, it's a pleasure to have our next guest back on the program. You'll see him competing at Chael, Sonnen submission underground 3 with 2 gold medals at the Nogi Pan Ams. He's also Conor McGregor's grappling sparring partner. I guess you could say he's a new emerging star in the sport of MMA, but always been a star in the sport of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. It's a pleasure to welcome back Dillon Danis to Submission Radio. Dillon, welcome to the program.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Oh, it's always great when you come on. We know it's obviously a busy period for you, so we appreciate the time. Before we get into everything that's going on, we noticed on Twitter you posted hashtag UFC London with a rather suggestive thinking emoji. Last time we spoke to you in New York, you were deliberating when you'll make your MMA debut. Please explain this cryptic message and if it is indeed to do with your MMA debut.
It's just putting it out there, just putting it out to the UFC that I'm ready to fight on that card. I've been dealing with a lot of negotiations for an MMA fight with money and stuff. So every time I get an offer, I get another offer with even bigger money. So I'm just looking for the right one to kind of, go and make my debut. But I was just putting that out there to the UFC that I'm ready to fight on that card, and it'd be cool to fight with my teammates Makwan and Artem.
I mean, it would be a no-brainer to sign you. You've got a big name behind you, and a lot of followers and people follow your social media and know who you are. When you're talking about MMA organizations approaching you, are you saying organizations outside the UFC have been approaching you, or the UFC has given you a few offers already?
No, just other offers from other organizations, not the UFC yet. If the UFC comes, then I'll be ready.
Is there any interest with these other organizations? Have they given you anything that you've looked at and sort of considered, or are you very sort of, I guess, dedicated to really only the UFC at this point?
I mean, I want to fight. I want to get my debut out there. It's just sometimes the money's not worth it. I'm not gonna go away from something that I love, my passion, jiu-jitsu, for freaking $700 for a fight or something like that. I'm gonna take the big money fight. So that's why I'm negotiating right now with the bigger organizations. I love jiu-jitsu, and the money has to be right for me to go and switch my training up to MMA.
Just curious, who is contacting you? What kind of organizations are we talking about?
I mean, the bigger ones and the smaller shows, obviously. I did want to fight in New Jersey. I thought that would be cool to fight my hometown, and then I got another offer. So I can't really say the names just because negotiations are going on and stuff.
Right.
But some of the bigger promotions, yeah, for sure. But I mean, UFC is my goal. That's where the best fighters in the world are, and I want to prove that I'm the best fighter in the world.
Is it a funny situation? Because usually when a fighter starts out his MMA career, he's relatively unknown, and so that $700, I mean, they have no choice but to take it. You have a bit of a name behind you. People really know you, and you have a lot of fans. Is it a funny situation to be in to sort of, want these MMA organizations to pay you, but also be at the beginning of your career in MMA?
Yeah, I mean, but they're offering it. I'm getting offers with really good money, so they know what I bring to the table, so they're offering big. So right now it's just all about making the right decision and talking to my manager and stuff. But yeah, I mean, I have a big following. I have good people behind me. So whatever organization I go to, I'm going to bring a big viewing, and I'm going to bring a lot of hype. So it's their choice, really.
When you say that you're sort of throwing out UFC London, obviously you mentioned some of the benefits of fighting on the card with your teammates. How sort of, dedicated are you to that idea? You say you're throwing it out there. Did you sort of just want to see the fan response and the UFC's response, or is that kind of a goal for you at this moment? That's kind of what you're aiming for?
I mean, if they offered me a fight on that, I would take it 100%. 100% I would take it. I did throw it out there just to see what the fans were thinking and kind of get a little bit of play around with people a little bit. But I mean, I would never lie. If I put that out there and they offer it to me, I'll take it 100%.
What has the contact been like between yourself and the UFC? Have they offered you a fight at all in the past, and have they taken notice? Have you heard anything from the UFC regarding UFC London?
No, not really. I talked to Dana before about some things. We had some ideas and we talked about it, but nothing's really come to fruition with it yet. But I'm just getting bigger and bigger, and my name's getting bigger. I'm winning jiu-jitsu tournaments. I'm submitting everybody, so it's just gonna build up. It's not gonna go down. It's just gonna build more, and then the UFC's gonna have to come.
For sure. You say you've spoken to Dana White. You mentioned before that you and Dana, you've known each other for a while. You've got a bit of a relationship. What kind of ideas are we talking about? What kind of vibe are you getting from him as far as sort of his excitement levels to signing you? Do you get a vibe like he's got big plans for you?
No, yeah, 100%. I think he would. I mean, I understand where it's hard to sign a fighter that's 0-0. So I mean, obviously, maybe I go get a couple fights first, but if it comes, it comes. We talked about some stuff about excited for you to be my boss and stuff like that. Just a lot of ideas here and there. Usually we talk, it's brief because it's after fights and stuff. So usually just some brief things, but he's always been really cool with it and always encouraging. So I mean, he knows what I want, and I'm gonna go get it.
Has he tried to talk to you about doing The Ultimate Fighter? I know sometimes he uses that as a show to sort of get fighters into the UFC. And would you be open to doing that? Because, it's a difficult sort of situation to be in. I mean, Conor has been a coach on one of the seasons. A lot of fighters, some fighters like it, some people don't. Would you be open to that experience if that was the only way Dana White saw you coming into the UFC without getting those couple of fights first?
Yeah, I would do that. I think. Yeah, I mean that's not a bad idea. I already had 10 Ultimate Fighter fights basically because for that Vegas, when Conor was fighting Diaz in Vegas, we used that gym and we had live fight days every week. So I basically have 10 fights on Ultimate Fighter, and that's what me and Conor even talked about. If we ever got an Ultimate Fighter, I already had freaking 10, 15, 20 fights because we had live full on fights every week in that same exact cage. So. If anything, I'm ready for it.
I feel like that'd be a great opportunity because you've been on the show before. You're not foreign to the concept. You'd probably be a lot more comfortable than some of the other guys. You're a big personality. It's a great way of 12 or 13 episodes to sort of get your personality out there, get more MMA fans on sort of your side and your bandwagon. Just quickly though, you mentioned before the Dana White, him saying maybe getting a couple of fights. Where does he sort of stand on that? Did he say anything to you like, look, Dillon, we want you to get a couple of fights before you come to the UFC? Or did you get a vibe? Did he say anything like, look, if you're willing to jump to the UFC for your first fight, that's a possibility. We can do that. There
was nothing said exactly on the fights and stuff. I'm just seeing it from my point of view. I mean, I understand what he's probably thinking. It's hard to sign someone that's 0-0, but with the fan base I already have and my name continuously growing, I don't see why not. If they don't want it now, they're gonna eventually see. I mean, I'm gonna keep submitting everybody in jiu-jitsu, and then eventually it's gonna be inevitable where they're gonna have to put me in there, and I'm gonna have to take out all the divisions.
I mean, so much stuff to get to and talk about. There's a notion out there that beginning your MMA career is not a good idea due to the fact that you don't get a chance to get a feel for the sport and the experience on smaller shows, and you're fighting very tough competitors from the get-go. But you just mentioned, obviously, you've had a lot of live fight experience, like with the team in the house for the Ultimate Fighter. We have seen fighters really hurt their career by coming to the UFC too early. However, do you ever worry about that sentiment of getting to the big show too quickly? And do you ever think about those few negatives that people talk about?
I don't like to really think about that stuff too much. I mean, obviously, I'm not dumb. I want to do my career right, and I want to make sure I do it well. And that's why I have really good people around me. I have good coaches, I have good friends, good mentors. So obviously, they would tell me what I need to do, and I mean, they always give me good advice. So that's where I kind of put my trust in, is the people around me. I know they're not yes men. I have a lot of good people around me, and they tell me the honest truth. So. If my coaches say I can go and take out the UFC, I can go take out the UFC. So I always, just listen to the people around me that I trust.
You mentioned potentially fighting Sage Northcutt, but now that he's lost again, is there someone else that's on?
That interview was they put that article out after I said that before the fight, and everybody's like, why are you calling out a fighter that lost? And I was like, it's kind of bullshit. The MMA fighting interview was before Sage fought. And what I said is, if he wins, I would like to fight him. And then everybody was like, oh, you're calling out a loser, all this stuff. I'm like, that's kind of BS. I didn't say anything about it, but I called out Sage before that fight, and I said if he wins that fight, I would like to fight him. And I mean, I was joking around saying he's an easy fight, just to because in my mind he's an easy fight, maybe in other people's minds. And now he's actually an easy fight. So now it looks like I was trying to actually get an easy fight, which is a funny thing. But yeah, I mean, that was before. I mean, anybody in the 155 or 170, really. I mean, it doesn't matter to me, honestly. I don't know. I mean, who do you think I should fight?
How about? All right. Well, you know what? We'll throw this out there. This is a little crazy. We were sort of throwing this idea around the other day. I mean, maybe not as your first fight, but we were talking about you potentially versus Khabib Nurmagomedov, right? Hear us out. Yeah. Obviously, he's 24-0, but the theory here is he's this guy that people just look at as one of the best grapplers in the UFC, definitely in the division. People are just, I don't want to ever say anyone's terrified of him, but he is a terrifying grappler. I think one day, you versus Khabib, that's a dream fight. What do you think about that?
I mean, yeah, that would be awesome. I would love to do that. I mean, his hands aren't that good, and he's a grappler, so it would probably be a grappling match. And I feel like I could submit him. His jiu-jitsu is good, but it's not very technical. You know, he's a little sloppy, so I feel like I would be able to finish him. But that could happen. But I mean, I'm not stupid either. I'm not gonna go into the UFC and probably fight Khabib my first fight. You know, but down the road, that would be a good matchup. I feel. You know, and I mean, he's not gonna be undefeated anymore if he fights Conor. So I'll be fine to give him another loss.
Well, let's talk about this matchup between Khabib and Tony Ferguson. It looks like it's going to happen for an interim belt. What do you think about that matchup? Who do you believe will be fighting McGregor next?
That's a tough one. They're both tough, but I think Khabib is going to win. I think Khabib will dominate him on the ground. And Tony's a good fighter. He's very scrambly too. So it's actually a really interesting matchup. And I'm pretty good at picking winners about fights, but this one, I'd probably go with Khabib. But it is a toss-up, though, because they're both super scrambly. You know, I know Tony's going to win the exchanges on the feet, but we'll see if Khabib's going to be able to take him down and hold him down. Tony's, he's a good wrestler, and he scrambles really well and has really good chokes.
This is a fight that we've been wanting to see for a long... Sorry to cut you off. Keep going.
No, I'm just saying I think Khabib is on a roll, too, which always helps. You know, he's undefeated, and he wants to go for the belt, so sometimes it's hard to, beat a guy like that. So I think Khabib probably be on a roll, but it doesn't really matter because he's going to have to fight Conor.
It's going to be such an exciting fight. And obviously, the way people look at this matchup, assuming he beats him, it's going to be Conor versus Khabib. People think that, if Khabib fights Conor, he will be able to dominate him on the ground while Conor will be able to dominate him on the feet.
What happened to Eddie doing that, though?
Well, there you go.
People say that, people said that Eddie was going to do that, and Eddie couldn't come close to taking Conor down. And Nate couldn't come close to taking Conor down, I mean, they all think they're going to do something until they get in there. And I train with the guy every day when I'm out there in Ireland, so I know what he's capable of, and that's definitely not going to happen.
Yeah, well, that's interesting because a lot of people sort of really giving Khabib, a lot of credibility on the ground, and he's a really, really good grappler. But when we watch Khabib fight, it's different to when someone like you watches Khabib fight because you're able to really see all the intricacies of what he's able to do. You being an extremely high-level grappler, what do you see when you see Khabib do his thing, like in his last fight against... in his last fight, UFC 205, are you impressed by what he's been able to do? Do you think he's a puzzle that's difficult to figure out on the ground?
I respect it 100%. I mean, that's what I want to do. I want to go and dominate right on the ground, so I respect it. I mean, it's not easy what he does. But it's actually a funny story. Me and him had a little bit of a beef when I was younger, when I was 16, I think, or 16 or 17. He used to come to a place in Jersey that I used to train because his manager was the coach of my gym. And he used to wear that stupid shirt that said, if Sambo was easy, it would be called jiu-jitsu or something. I think that's what he wears, right? And I said, okay. I said, okay, let's do a grappling match then and see how easy jiu-jitsu is. And then never came to fruition. I don't know what happened, if they told him or if they didn't tell him. But I told the guy, I said, you tell him that I said, let's see how easy jiu-jitsu is, and I'll freaking show him, So that's a stupid shirt he wears.
I'm just curious, did you ever sort of come face-to-face to Khabib, get a chance to speak to him at all, or roll with him at all, or do anything with him at all, or was it just sort of through the team?
No, just through the team. I never got to train with him. At the last weigh-in, all his Russian friends were staring me down like they want to kill me. But I don't know. That's just how they are, though. But yeah, I don't know.
Wow, that's crazy. Have you had a chance to sort of... obviously he was there at UFC 205 as well, and you would have been there as well. Did you ever get a chance to sort of speak about that, or have you guys, had any words, not necessarily negative, but, had any conversations recently?
No, not recently. No, I haven't talked to him. I know him and Conor had a little confrontation, but I wasn't there for that.
Wow, that's crazy. I feel like this dream match that we just theorized before, it's just added a new layer of depth. The rivalry's been going on for years.
That would be a good one. But we'll see. It'll be the first time you see Khabib on his back.
I feel like you should be wearing a T-shirt at the weigh-in when Conor McGregor's weighing in. If he does fight Khabib, that says if Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu was easy, it'd be called Sambo, and just see what he does. Sort of flip the script on him a little bit, Dylan. But I mean, let's talk a little bit about if that matchup does happen between McGregor and Khabib. I mean, you mentioned how good McGregor is on the ground and how you know what he's capable of. How would you see that fight going? A lot of people predicting that McGregor would knock him out before it even gets to the ground. Is that how you see it going? What's your prediction for that one?
He's too easily hit. If you saw in the Michael Johnson fight, he was getting like wobbled and rocked, like every time they were on the feet. So yeah, I mean Conor's gonna pick him apart like he does all the wrestlers. He hits you from everywhere. He kicks you in the stomach, and like people don't see those shots on TV, like some of the teep kicks and some of the kicks to the stomach, but those take the wind out of you. And when you're basically have to take someone down, it puts a different kind of feeling in your stomach and in your gut when you have to take the guy down. The guy's beating you up on the feet, and when you go to the ground, he's elbowing you. So I think Conor, puts him away in probably 1 or 2 rounds with strikes.
You sound like you're a man who's speaking from experience. Have you had to feel those shots when you're sparring Conor McGregor?
Yeah, of course. He's an animal. So yeah, I felt the shots many times.
Oh man, I imagine it's not fun at all. When you're not obviously taking teep shots, you guys obviously have a great relationship. You guys hang out a lot, during training camps and doing stuff outside the gym. How would you describe your friendship and sort of the influence that he's had over you? I'm wondering how long has it been now that you guys have sort of been teammates?
I don't know how long it's been, since probably like a month or 2 before the Diaz fight. So
wow.
I'm not too sure. But yeah, I mean, our friendship, I think we're really close. We're good friends. I always say, like, we just have each other's backs, and we still talk a lot, even when I'm not in Ireland. And yeah, I know we're just good friends and stuff. It's just a cool friendship. And yeah, he does have an influence on me, of course. Yeah, he's someone I look up to. He's one of my idols, so it's super cool.
Yeah, well, I mean, what would you say is the best advice that you've ever received from him regarding to your potential MMA career that's about to kick off? I mean, he obviously sees what you're capable of. He must be excited to see you begin your career in MMA. Has he ever given you any sort of pieces of wisdom or anything that stands out in your mind?
Yeah, I wouldn't want to talk about all this stuff he gives me. I mean, that's personal, but he has told me if you want to do it, you could do it. So, and I know he's one of the most honest people I've ever met. So he wouldn't lie to me. So he always told me if you want to do it, you can do it, and I have your back 100%. So, I mean, that's encouraging to hear from someone that you look up to a lot.
Yeah, what a guy to have in your corner. Let's talk about Submission Underground 3. There was a poll out by Flow Combat about who Jon Jones should compete against at the next event, and most people, they voted for you. Were you disappointed when you found out that the matchup couldn't come together and didn't want to verse you?
Yeah, I was disappointed because I wanted to go and show him, because he's trying to act like I'm smaller than him, and that kind of got me mad because I've beaten guys way bigger than him and way more skilled than him in jiu-jitsu. So, but at this point, from the video that I saw of him, he looked like he was a little scared. So I kind of don't want to keep bothering him. I just I don't want to be a bully and push him into it. So I'm just gonna leave him alone for now. He doesn't seem like he wants to do it. He seems scared. So I just let him do his own thing.
You mentioned that video. What did you think about him? I mean, he said that you asking him to beg you via Twitter was a douche move that turned him off from wanting to compete against you. And he also said that he believes you being smaller means he doesn't have much to gain from the match. What did you make of that?
I don't know how you can call him a douchebag when you do some of the things he does. It doesn't really make sense to me. I actually like Jon Jones. I don't think I have nothing against him. At the end of the day, all this stuff is business, and I respect him. So, but I mean, you can't call someone a douchebag from the things that he's done. That doesn't make any sense. And me being smaller than him in the last Polaris, I beat a guy that's a world champion and probably weighs about the same as him or maybe heavier, and has been doing jiu-jitsu since he was probably 5 years old in Brazil. So it doesn't make any sense. I mean, if you see it, you could see in his voice he's kind of trembling and kind of like trying to think about like excuses to make. So it's just that he doesn't want to lose.
What did you mean by that tweet, by the way, when obviously everybody's challenging Jon Jones and then you put yours out there and it really sort of lit a fire, and we were looking at the retweets, I think it was by far the most. When you said beg me, obviously we've seen Conor McGregor do that, but what exactly did you mean by that?
In jiu-jitsu, no one knows who he is. He doesn't have anything in jiu-jitsu. He's a subpar grappler, and I'm the big name in jiu-jitsu, so I was telling him to beg me if he wants a big money fight.
He had a quick victory over Dan Henderson, but how do you believe a match between the two of you would go?
Stop. The Dan Henderson. I love Dan Henderson. He's a legend, but come on, that's not even. I'm pretty sure everybody knew that was going to happen. I mean, he's like 45 years old, and he's. I don't think he even has a guard. And like, if you imagine putting him on his back, it'd be easy. And I don't understand how like they even put that matchup together, or even make it people think that it was going to be competitive. But I think with a match with him, I think I would submit him in under the 8 minutes. he's too sloppy with his body and the way he moves. I think I would catch him pretty easily. Actually, he's a good athlete and stuff, but I can see him disengaging a lot and not coming forward because and when you come into like a black belt, a high level black belt's card, it's not the same as MMA.
Wow, I know you say you're going to leave him alone for a while, but I hope one day that matchup gets put together because that'd be a lot of fun. Let's talk about your current challenger in AJ Agazarm. I mean, he's a decorated grappler, winning such comps as the Pan Am No-Gi Championship in 2013, the World No-Gi Championships in 2014. What do you think about him as a matchup?
Well, he's a good grappler, but he doesn't. It's a mismatch. It's a mismatch, and he's gonna see it's a mismatch. So I'm gonna submit him pretty easily. I feel. I mean, he's too sloppy too. He's small and he's gonna get mauled. I'm gonna play with him. I swear.
I mean,
he's gonna be to try to not get tapped by me. That's gonna be his victory. That's what he's going in looking for a win. That's gonna be his win.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people are going to be watching this event. You just mentioned that it'll probably be pretty quick, but how do you see yourself winning this? Do you see you submitting him pretty quickly in the event, or do you think it's going to go out longer into the matchup to see who wins?
I feel like I'll catch him, but the thing with him, he's a very good staller. He's made his career off stalling. So, I mean, we'll see. I mean, that's the thing that these guys see my submission skills now. They don't want to engage, so sometimes it takes a little bit longer, but I'm prepared for that. But if he wants to come and play fire with fire, we'll see how fast it goes. But I know he'll just stall.
I'm wondering, are you excited about this matchup? Because it seems like obviously you're going in there very confident. You don't really sound like you're sort of facing the biggest challenge. Is he the guy that you wanted originally, or is this just kind of like?
I want Jon Jones, but I mean he's fine. I mean he's talked a lot about me in the past. He's posted some stuff about me, so he thinks he's better than me. If you think you're better than me, I'm going to show you that you're not. So that always excites me when someone thinks they can beat me, because I feel that I'm the best.
A lot of people excited for what 2017 is going to bring from Dillon Danis. I mean, you mentioned earlier on, for you to give up Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and doing the comps, the money for MMA would have to be pretty reasonable. If that money does come through, if that offer does happen, will you be primarily focusing on MMA in 2017, or will you still be juggling grappling at the same time?
If it's the UFC, I would say I would go full force and stop jiu-jitsu. But if I'm doing like a local show or something like that, I'd probably do both.
Wow. Exciting times. Well, there you go. I mean, UFC London.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to say. Like, the thing is, like, right now with jiu-jitsu, I mean, my name's out there. I'm trying to go and accomplish my goals. I'm getting big money fights for grappling. So, like, why should I go in MMA unless they're going to make me a good offer? You have to make it enticing for me. So that's what I'm saying.
Well, there you go. In other words, translation: show me the money. So we hope this comes out.
And I bring the people to watch, so it's not like I'm fucking delusional or something. I mean, if I go and fight something, everybody's gonna watch. Either they want me to lose or they want me to win. I don't really give a shit, but I'm gonna bring people to watch.
Yeah, polarizing figure. It reminds me of someone, if I can say that. Dillon, before we let you go, I mean, a lot of things happened in 2017, potentially MMA debut, hopefully MMA debut, maybe even at UFC London. Before we let you go, Dillon, the most important question: your name on social media is Pablo. Why is that? Yeah. What's the story there?
That's up for interpretation. I'll just leave it to that. But I'm pretty sure it's pretty obvious, Maybe it's Pablo Picasso. There's a lot of Pablos.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, I was thinking Escobar, but that's okay. We just won't talk about it.
Maybe. It could be what we want to be. But, yeah.
Well, before he gets a role in Narcos, he has a big year in 2017 in the world of MMA and Jiu-Jitsu. Make sure to follow Dillon on Twitter and Instagram at Dillon Danis. You won't regret it. A lot of fun there. Watch him compete at Submission Underground 3 on January 29th, exclusively via Flow Combat. Now, sign up and don't miss out. These guys have been doing great stuff. And Dillon, I mean, how much fun is it for us to have you on every time? We really appreciate the time. We're excited to see what happens. And, man, 2017 could be the year of Dillon Danis. We're excited to see what's going to happen next.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it so much.